Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video, and today we're going to be going over my account for the, what is this, which season are we on? Whatever the newest season was, like spring 26, my bad. But yeah, sorry for the late upload on this one. I originally had an account review video on Twitch, but I removed it because, or I didn't remove it, but I'm gonna re-record it just because I was sick during that recording and my voice was like dying a lot. So we're gonna retry it here. So this is now my, what is this, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, this is my 5th time ending legend, and I do want to talk a little bit more thoroughly over the units that I picked for this season. A little bit more in depth than what I went over on the, the cleave tier list a couple days ago. And I'll give some insights into like my drafts and stuff too, because the tier list was just like my builds and how I picked them. That's it. But I'm trying to want to make this one a little bit more in depth. But yeah, thoughts on the frame. It's kind of mid. I think this is still my favorite one. Tied with this one. But this one looks better on Risa, so I'm keeping this one instead. But yeah, just another legend season. It is what it is. Cleave was pretty strong last season actually. Like Brier Cleave. Okay, it's kind of funny because they still haven't addressed Brier Cleave being really strong if you're like decently fast. It's definitely the strongest Cleave playstyle in my opinion. But yeah, let's just quickly go over the account. So this is after Imprint Circuit came out, so don't actually pay attention to my Brier. It's not 320, it's 317. But it's just boosted by the Imprint Circuit. Same with my Ran and Renac and stuff. So this is not actually my top speed. I wish it was. But yeah, I already have some games in RTA, and I think not much has changed to the previous season, except we're just now introducing Nodos in the draft. But yeah, I might make a video on Cleave for this season later down the road. But this is an account review, so I mainly just want to talk about the units I picked the most. Right? So yeah, first we have Ran here. The times I picked Ran was when they first picked Lady, because you cannot Brier Cleave Lady, right? It's almost impossible because the CR that Lady gets when you Brier S3 is way too much, so you'll get cut in between and the Lady will cleanse all the death breaks off. So during the times when Lady was picked, I would sometimes pick Ran on 3, since Ran can deal with Lady pretty easily. And if I already have Dian on 1, or like Free Ran on 1, then picking Ran was like pretty simple on that position, since there's a lot of bridge options he has, right? The only downfall to Ran is you need a lot of damage gear on him. Otherwise, if he doesn't have enough damage, he won't be able to proc the front unit with his S2, S3 if they have scales. And if you don't proc the front unit, that means if you don't have another strip on your team, they get to keep the immortality. So if you don't wipe out their whole team, then their front unit, if it's like a G-Ross for example, then they have the potential to reverse sweep you. Which is why I wanted to get as much damage as possible while still having like top speed, right? This is like my second fastest gear. I'm on this artifact. I think hit chance is really important on Ran because you will fight a lot of green units and evasion like Setsuka when you play Ran. So having this evasion check was really useful. And another thing too was he was like pretty decent versus Renac because they do share the same top speed. Obviously you just have to be careful for like the legend Renacs that give Renacs, I don't know, like 330 speed. So if they went like scales Renac, then I couldn't really pick this Ran obviously because I would just get outsped. But if it was like a slow player playing Lady, then yeah, this Ran would work pretty well. The other times I picked Ran instead of 3 was I picked him on 4 sometimes if I go the Zio Hecate Ran draft, which was pretty popular, that I did, where it helps me deal with the lady, because a lot of lady players, they love to play like Ruel and stuff, and like Ross, so it was a little bit easier dealing with that sort of draft since Hecate counters the anti-revive, or counters the revive and the immortality that Scales gives. The other thing that's nice with Ran too, he gives 2-turn immunity to your free Ren, which means stuff like G-Ross, you can just immediately S3 right away on free Ren. You don't have to S1 because of the 2-turn immunity, and G-Ross won't be able to seal you and kill you off. So that's really useful, and it's good against like some anti-cleave options as well that rely on debuffs. So it gives you like protection versus that as well. And that's pretty much it for Ran, I think. Yeah, that was a bit long for Ran, but yeah, I want to be as in-depth as possible when I talk about these units. So yeah, these are my individual pieces. Nothing crazy. I don't even know what this is. That's crazy. Alright, so here's my Brier. She was 317 for the season. Obviously, just on my fastest gear. This Brier is pretty much the same. I think last season I ran a 316 one, but I gave her a crit chance next, so she's 317 now, while still maintaining some damage. So there's positives and negatives to a effectiveness Brier and a DPS Brier. So the positives to an effectiveness Brier is you don't technically have to prevent Bellion. If you just land your death breaks on targets that like don't have ER, let's say they pick Bellion but you land anyways, right, because you have effectiveness, then you can still Brier Cleave even, and you can like prevent Scales, right? Prevent Scales, Harsetti, and then play Brier Cleave that way and let Bellion through. So that's the benefits of effectiveness Brier. The downsides is, now this sounds pretty crazy, but in scenarios where you have to pivot out of Brier Cleave, if you're running the effectiveness Brier and you're forced to draft, like if they go like Renac Veronica and you're forced to go like Moon Bunny plus FCC 4/5 to address the Renac Veronica, then you're really limited on DPS because Moon Bunny and FCC aren't DPS, obviously, right? They're like support units. But that's where the DPS Brier comes in. This Brier I consider a DPS Brier, not an effectiveness Brier, because my effectiveness is 40, right? The benefits of this is that you can run a solo DPS Brier comp as long as she's surrounded by these 4 support units, because you're picking her on 3 every time, right? So if you have stuff like FCC, Moon Bunny, like if they pick like Renac Veronica and you have Scales, right, then it becomes really hard to kill that singular Brier Witch, and then she eventually can DPS around and kill their whole team. So for example, one of the drafts that I like to do is, I'm not sure if I can do this. Let's take a look. Right, if I have something like Scales, oops, this is ban list. Oh god, I am bad at using this software. So if I have Scales here, and they go, actually let's say I have DN, let's say Lady is previewed, right, and they go like the classic Barunka, let's say Yulha, and then here I go like Pre-Ren Brier, and here they go Renac Girl, and then here I would go FCC and so the nice part about this, let's say we just I ban last, and then he bans my free Ren, right? He could, yes, he will one-shot my DN for sure, right? Like the play for him is just to kill off my DN because that's my DPS, and I'm stuck with FCC, Brier, and Moon Bunny, right? But the funny part is, because my Brier's on DPS, my Brier can S3 the Renak and Veronica, and then my FCC can actually kill them off. Like that or Death Broken, right? Because my Brier is on DPS. So after their entire rotation, I can Brier S3, FCC S3, kill off these two, and then it'll just be Eula and Brunka left with my versus my Brier, FCC, and Moonbunny, which these three will win against these two. So something like that, a scenario like that would be really good to have a DPS Brier. It's also good to have a DPS Brier when you're racing, just because it'll help you kill imprints. Like this Brier has killed a Vilgid at full health before, which is like pretty funny. Now obviously the downsides to playing DPS Brier is you have to pre-ban Valiant, right? Because you don't have enough effectiveness to land if you don't soul burn. So you always have to rely on Brier soul burning when you're playing the DPS Brier. But yeah, those are the pros and cons of running different opener Brier. So let's go on to the next unit. So Renak, I didn't actually pick too much, just because Renak as a cleaver is pretty weak because she doesn't provide enough value as an opener, right? She's more of like a DPS, like a single target DPS nuker, rather than a setup for your follow-up characters, right? She has like some bridges like Sharoon and Rowana and Teiyu, but for one, they're pretty inconsistent, right? Like Renak has to soul burn for Teiyu, but she herself can't hold Book. Sharoon is pretty weak as a DPS, and Rowan is also pretty weak in the current meta. So the only positives for Renak for me is when they're racing and I get to have Renak on 3, right? Then she'll be pretty strong because Renak is really, really good for racing. But against takedown, you would not pick Renak. Yumi Luna, I did pick on 3 a couple of times too. And the way I picked Luna is if... How do I reset this? Yeah. It's when they pre-pick Brier counters. For example, some crazy people, they pre-pick Fada and Elena really early when they see me go like free ren, right? Plus like I don't know, DN. Right, and then some freaks, they know that I'm gonna go Brier, so they end up picking like shit like this. Right. They're just already preparing to fight the Brier. So if that's the case, then I just go Luna. Just because I don't have to force the Brier, especially if none of them address the Luna pick yet, right? Like if this was like Ruel instead of Fada, then okay, yeah, I'll Brier here. But if it's Fada, like I might as well pick Luna, right? And then there I just flex my 4 or 5, and then because they pre-pick Brier counters, it's pretty hard to pivot out of this. So situations like that where Brier seems pretty weak instead of Luna, then yeah, I pivot to Luna instead. So that's why she's on like a pretty decent fast set. Just on Book and HP and speed. Like I don't even need the immunity because I'm assuming I go first, right? This green Sid, I wanted to make a fast Sid for racing, but I never ended up picking this, so it's kind of useless. Same with this Celeste. This Lidica is the same way I picked this Luna. If instead of Elena like this, they go young Senya early, if I'm second pick, right? And they have like something like this, right? And I have scales here. Then instead of forcing the Brier here on, let's say if they were first pick, right? And then instead of forcing the Brier here, I'll just Lidica this, right? Again, you don't have to force Brier if you think she's weak, because me pressing Brier S3 just activates all this crap. But Lidica shits on this, right? Restricts the free run, reduces fighting spirit, right? Restricts everybody, so... In a situation like this, I would go Lidica A-Ram. and then play off of this spot. But yeah, situations like that, we don't have to force Brier. It's pretty good, so that is why she's on my second max renewed, and she has some fast gear as well. Did not pick Sea Phantom. Only picked this when they pivot to Zio Cleave on me. So if I have Brier 3 here, I'm playing my standard stuff, and this usually happens when I first pick. I go like my usual stuff, and then they go Zio on 3 here. They go Zio on 3 plus, let's say, like Teiyu. Then here I would like pick him out Polly for sure, right? If I remember her actual name, Sea Phantom. God, yeah, Sea Phantom plus like another force fan, like I don't know, it could be anything. Another scenario is if I have Achilles here. Let's say he's first pick, right? And then I'm second pick. Then I wouldn't pick it 4 here. I would go like maybe like Politis here. And then if he goes like Teiyu plus, I don't know, Blooming, right? Then I would just ban this and force ban the Sea Phantom, right? Because Teiyu is pretty weak into Achilles, so I just need a second counter to the Teiyu, which is Sea Phantom. So yeah, that's like the other time I pick her. I don't pick her if they go like Yenya here. I just go Litica instead, because I think Litica is better at setting up cleave team than Sea Phantom is. She's just there to stop the Zio Teiyu combo. That's pretty much it. Sinji. The times I draft Sinji is when they pre-ban Brier. That's pretty much it. She's like the Brier replacement, and they go like Eula Ross opening. Or like Eula Ruel opening, right? That's pretty common too, right? Then in a situation like this, I have to go Sinji. I can't play anything else. And the nice part about Sinji is, just like Brier, she's pretty good at frontline tanking, because her S3 gives her 2-turn immortality, and then she also gets the immortality from scales. So you get to, just like Brier, you get to tank a lot of hits. And I'm on Proof of Friendship just in case I need to bridge something with Sinji S3. So during those scenarios, I would put like, I don't know, Dian in front or something else. But she's pretty much a Brier replacement, which is why she is also pretty fast at 300 speed. Just because she needs to take the first turn out of everyone, right? And yeah, everything else is just filler gear. Let's talk about Veronica. She was really strong versus people that race and go DN early. So one of the most common drafts was picking this DN Ruel combo into Ran. You probably fought this if you're playing this season, right? I'll just reset it actually. So let's say I'm first pick and I get scales. Then they go Dian Ruel. Then I 100% pick Barrow here into Brier. And then they go Ran plus like, what do they usually go here? Like Imprint, right? It's like Mildred, maybe. So what this allows me to do is be ahead on 1 Imprint. So I can go like Silk, or like not even Silk, like Shuri plus like Silk. Oh yeah, Silk, Shuri. Right, something like this. So no matter what, I'll always be an Imprint above, because I can just ban last. Right. And no matter what he bans, I'm up by 1 Imprint. So the only way I lose is if I get gear gapped, which is why I say for Legend, 315 Brier is like pretty necessary. Well, I wouldn't say necessary, but it'll make your life a lot easier since you won't lose the races as much. Since 315 Brier plus imprint should be enough to outspeed a lot of Renax and Rands just because of the slight speed increase you have over them. With the extra 10 speed or 14 speed or whatever. So yeah, if you get outsped like this, then it's just a gear gap angle and you just go next. But yeah, Veronica here is really strong. Gives you a bridge versus the DN and gives you 10 speed as well. As for the EE, I'm on this pushback one just because I've yet to see a DN faster than mine. Or not my DN, my Veronica. Since DN needs a lot of damage, right? So. And this pushback is nice for stuff like Fada or, well, stuff you don't want to take a turn. So. 182 effectiveness, just top land. Okay, let's talk about scales. My main first pick. She's at 290 speed, so she can bridge against a lot of stuff. Like, for example, one of the niche scenarios where scales can bridge is if they have Brunka, right? And you're forced to ZOS with the Brunka. Well, the CR that Brunka gets converted to CR for scales, and she gets a 12% CR push from Brunka's 25. And this 12% CR push will help me bridge my team with Zio, right? That's like one small scenario. To help me bridge. Another example could be like Ruel. Oh, there I have Ruel. And then you push the Ruel back, and then she procs the Idol's Cheer, and then that Idol's Cheer push gets converted to 10% ZR for the scales. So you need a lot of speed on scales just to help you bridge against their team if they have mechanics like that. Stuff that isn't guaranteed push off of your team, like a Zio S3, right? And as for the artifact, this artifact's really good. This lets you soul burn right away if you don't have starting souls on your team. Right? If you have like the Brier Barrow scales, you don't have souls for that, which means you can just soul burn right away on this if you have to. You want 100 effectiveness at least to be able to tag stuff like Monarch Iseria, so she can get feared and you don't have to deal with counters until she takes her turn. And then the rest is ER. Those HP, it doesn't really matter as much, right? Just the effectiveness, speed, and ER is what matters the most. So that's the priority for her. Nako is a niche pick. She is like a similar replacement to Senji, but just a little bit different in the fact that she can apply death breaks and isn't necessarily an anti-revive character, but she does increase the cooldown versus stuff like Ruel, which is nice. So if you kill her off before she takes her turn, then once Ruel comes back, she can't do anything. Yeah, sometimes Nako will be better than Senji on 3 in some scenarios, but usually it's just Senji. But I had her gear just in case. Didn't really pick. Sage Ball was a niche pick if I'm anti-cleaving versus Zio, if I have the KDs on 3, right? Sage Ball is really strong with Fire Poly because you get the CR, they don't, so a scenario like that would be really good. Celine. This was... I didn't really draft this that often because I didn't really pick Brunka this season. But I guess if I did have Brunka, or if I had Prot Zio, then this lane would be pretty strong. Yeah, I didn't really have a reason to pick Spirit Eye Celine a lot this season. Like last season. But if you do decide to build her, you want her to be faster than Firen, because she's pretty strong to stuff like Young Senyo. So what you can do is, if you're playing Brier, Firen, and they pick Young Senya, you can just S1 Brier and then S3 the Celine, and then you can rip your Briar's or rip your Firen skills and then hit the Yenya, and then nothing will die because of the immortality, which is pretty nice. And I'm still on photogenic because I have nothing else. Now, this is the main anti-Zio tech. So, if you do not know how to fight Zio as a Brier Cleaver, this is the solution. Is you build up this Acades, and I'm pretty sure I have some examples. where I fight an Achilles, surely, in one of these. Surely I have a game where I'm not playing Brier. Whoa, what happened there? Ah, here we go. So, as you can see, what this Achilles does is it essentially traps the Zio S3, right? Where, since you're on Idol's Cheer, no matter who Zio targets, you'll always get a 20% CR push on something, right? For example, if Zio S3 is Achilles, then that'll proc the Idol's Shear and push up my highest attack unit, which is Freeran in this case. And so Freeran will take the turn, and then Freeran gets to S3 and nuke down their whole team. Let's say Zio S3's something else instead, like my DN or my Biblis. Then Achilles' natural S3 passive will proc, and then she'll get the 20 CR, and then you can take the turn right after. So as long as the Zio doesn't have a guaranteed bridge, he becomes really strong, or Achilles becomes really strong versus Zio, because you just get to guarantee take the next turn as long as you're faster than their bridge, right? Which is why I recommend building your DPS really fast, right? Like my Freeran here is like 270, or my Straze is like 280, or my Spirit Eye is 280. Right, especially because it procs twice if they pick something like a Coley. And Freeran just gets to reverse nuke and then win the game. Right. You just want to have a maxed Idle Shear, that'll help a lot. And then you want to be on this S2 EE, because just in case Zio pushes back something else, you're going to make up that CR back with the extra 20%. But yeah, if you already know how this Achilles text works, then like I'm just repeating stuff, but this is just for the people who don't know. And the way you build her is, you don't care anything except bulk and speed. That's literally it. So sometimes Zio players will pick like Flan, so you want to be able to tank like a Flan at least. But besides that, ER doesn't matter, effectiveness doesn't matter. Yeah, just the speed. So yeah. Let's keep looking. This Dark Shuri unit. He was good when the Weakening Frenzy was out, but since they removed that, he's kind of ass, so you just pick Cole instead. Imprint. Veda. So, yeah, the draft I did with Achilles was going DN Freeran, and to go Zio, I go Achilles Veda, because that sets you up really nicely versus whatever Zio set up to go for, right? Because they can't really pick Blooming, because Blooming is weakened to Veda. They can't go Teiyu, because Teiyu is weak versus Freeran and DN, and even technically Veda, right? Because she starts with stealth, and the Teiyu is forced to hit the Veda, otherwise Veda will go and then nuke everything. It just sets up really nicely for a lot of Zio cleave, going DN, Freeran, Achilles into Veda, so. And then you just go on book, and then I guess some HP. The rest of the stats don't really matter that much. Standard imprint. The Straze was for Elena players. Again, you want your Straze to be faster than your Freeran, just because, for one, Straze doesn't proc counter attacks. So if your Straze goes first, he can nuke the team, not proc stuff like Iseria, and then help your Freeran finish off the rest. Okay. Especially if they have stuff like an Elena, you get to immediately take out a unit before Elena can give invincibility. So your Freeran has to use your time, because if your Freeran goes first, then Straze won't have as much value, because you'll proc a lot of counter attacks, you'll proc Elena invincibility, and then he essentially becomes a useless unit. So you want him to be faster than Freeran. Uh, this unit was mainly used as a light 10A replacement, but people kind of stopped pre-banning, or not, yeah, pre-banning light 10A, so I didn't really pick her as much. I would always just pick light 10A instead. Pretty niche unit for follow-up. Like if they don't have Brunka and they have like free ran and a bunch of like protected DPS comps, then I'll pick Aki and just blow them up with his silver mechanic. Like this build's not even good, but it gets the job done. Okay, here's my main DPS for the season. Is this free ran who has my best gear, but again, this is not her true stats. I know it looks crazy, but this is just from Imprint Circuit. But yeah, I think she is still one of the best Brier follow-ups, right? Just make sure she's 15% of the speed of your Brier. But yeah, she's a very versatile character. I don't think I have to explain too much about Freeran. I think she's pretty self-explanatory at this point. The new Biblis, I won't talk about her because she wasn't out during the season, so we'll skip her for now. Same with Coley, I think. I don't think Coley was out. Right? Yeah, I don't think so. Sherry? Now, there is tech with this character. For example, let's say you're racing with DN, right? And you need to pick fast imprints, but you have a Brier. But your Brier is DPS. Now, well, first, if I take off this, right? You notice how the Shuri has more attack than this Brier, right? The reasoning for that is if a scenario where you're forced to race with DN or anyone that drags dual attacks with the highest attack, then in a scenario where you're forced to drag a duel to win, if you drag your Brier S1, then that pretty much has zero value, right? Because all she does is just an S1 that, okay, maybe kills, but nothing happens afterwards, right? Even if it doesn't, like what if it doesn't kill, right? Because you're forced to S1 an anchor, like a cleave anchor. Well, that's why you have this Fire Shuri with attack percent neck. So what this allows you to do is it drags a duel from the Fire Shuri. And the reason why this one's way better is because read this passive, after making a critical hit, increases combat readiness of all allies by 25%. So you can bridge your team again if you drag a duel with the Fire Shuri. And if you get to kill, then you proc Sash as well. So you get so much CR and you get to cycle like 5 times over if you drag duels with the Fire Shuri, which is why he is higher attack than my Brier if she has imprint release. He's also at 270 speed, so he can take the turn after the Brier S3 and then just to do all that. There was one game, I think, where I won because I dragged the duel with Fire Shuri instead of Brier, and that allowed me to push my team up again, and then just keep cycling over and over and over again. So yeah, I forgot what the exact setup was, but it involved me dragging a duel with Shuri instead of Brier, which helped me the game. Flan, this is like my same Flan build for like 5 seasons now. It's just the HP is a bit low because I'm on Torrent, but again, her survivability is already pretty good because of the evasion. And if she's in the game, that means I pretty much killing off units one by one. So my win rate with Flan was pretty high. Again, I'm on like 270 speed just to help me bridge really easily. And yeah, besides that, I just have attacking damage. Whoa, I'm looking at the wrong... What the hell? My bad. Oops. I am skipping units. Okay. Mort. On Perlucia, just to add more RNG, in case their opener has a strip, they have to check another 15% with the immunity, right? So if I have a free Ren, then I can immediately start with immunity, or if I have Brier, okay, maybe I can like resist the debuff if they get 15'd. And again, the same concept where a lot of my bridges are around this speed to help connect with my Brier Renewed Will. And he was like just strong against Monarch Iseria. One of the drafts I did is if they pick Iseria early, then I'll pick Mort on 2. So just so I can like not deal with the Iseria pick. I don't have to like force pick Mort later in the draft. I already have a check to the Iseria. The most common opening I think was if they went Barunka into Iseria here. Right. Then I would definitely sign Mort on 2 here. So I know this is probably counter and this is definitely counter. And then I'll just play the standard Brier setup here. And then flex my 4-5. This was a pretty strong 2-3 versus these opening picks. So that's where the Mort came in. Not picked. None of this was picked. The light 10A was picked a lot. So how I drafted her was versus Blue Elena specifically. I pretty much always drafted light 10A versus Blue Elena, and if they have like, I think this is pretty common. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this was like free run, I think. Then 10A, and SBA. So, assuming I'm banning last, no matter what they ban here, I get to control their entire team, while also having a counter to the G-Ross, right? Because my Lady and Freeran already counter the G-Ross, which means I don't need to technically ban him. I just have to control the rest of these, right? So I pick Light 10A and SPA here. So no matter what they ban, let's say they ban SPA, then I can just control the team with 10A, and then Freeran will eventually make their team down. Let's say they ban Freeran, then I get to still press the same thing and control their team, except the G-Ross. G-Ross can't kill anything because of Lady mitigation. These three will eventually die with the Rupture and the SPA burns, and then it'll be a 4v1 versus Ross. Let's say they ban Scales. Then the same thing happens. Brier goes. Yes, Elena will cut, but you don't care if Elena cuts, because all she will do is set up her S3, in which 10A can strip away and then control everyone again. And then the same thing happens with Freeran. She goes and then eventually nukes down everyone one by one. So yeah. And I guess if they pre-ban 10A, then I mean it's the same thing. SPA goes, controls, and then Freeran nukes with Scales. So that was the setup with 10A. Super strong 4-5 with Brier if they picked Blue Elena, which is why I don't think Blue Elena was that strong into Brier, but that's just me. This Ludwig was mainly a Zio follow because I did play Zio Cleave quite a bit this season as well. So he's just on some decent gear. The DN was really strong as well when I'm playing against Takedown or if I'm racing. Just because DN was technically the strongest bridge as a cleaver. It's just she kind of gets cucked by Veronica. So if they ever go like Renak or Barrow, I couldn't play Brier and I had to play Zio instead. Right. And picking stuff like my fast TU helped in this scenario if I had DN. So yeah. We'll get to the TU when he comes out, but DN was definitely the second prio pick besides Scales, right? I think the order for me was Scales, DN, Freeran in terms of viability. So let's go on to the next unit. Afternoon Silk Fan. Wait, no, we already talked about her. Blooming Litica. So the way I used Blooming was with this Giga F build. Just the same shit where if your F is high enough, you can tag pretty much everything and control their team. And the nice part about Blooming's value is this S2 is just so strong, right? If you pick this versus like Veronica and you hit the Veronica, you can restrict the Veronica and she can't push if you have DN, which is pretty funny. So that's pretty useful in that scenario. None of this I picked at all. Queen's Whistle DDR like maybe once with Zio. With this Queen's Whistle, which is pretty cool. So yeah, this was pretty useful. A lot of these are just counter picks for 4 or 5. Yeah, so here is my Zio. Now, if you didn't hear what I said in the tier list video, the reason why he is on attack percent neck is so I can proc my Queen's Whistle off of an S3, because he'll be the highest attack. Now, the only thing I'm missing is 40 crit chance, because I do want to be able to S1 Zio and proc a crit if I'm ever picking Calvin. But besides that, he's still on F, like 170. Just so, in case they pick ML Aria, you're not forced to waste 40 souls on his soul run, and you can sort of fish for an S3 and pray you land, so you can proc your Teo and stuff. So that's the only reason why he's on the F. Otherwise, I think I would get rid of all of it and just go like a pure DPS build, but ML Aria exists, and people do pick that. Especially in ER Frenzy. This Lionheart build, just a typical cleave LHC. You just pick this versus Iseria and Setsuka, and then she cuts, and then hopefully you kill their whole team if you land death breaks. SPA, I already mentioned how I drafted her with Book, right? Gives you a soul burn on Brier, which is really useful. So there's less RNG on your SPA to land because there won't be any immunities. So you just have to land the stuns at that point. So I just sent the F flying, like get as close to 250 as possible. And she's a little bit slower because if I'm ever in a situation where I draft Zio plus opener and I have SPA, then what will happen is this SPA won't cut before my second opener. It'll go Zio and then opener and then SPA. So the opener can strip off all the immunities and then so she can stun. So that's why she is at this speed specifically. But this speed is still fast enough to take the turn if I have a Brier, right? Because she'll get 30% CR. So yeah, this speed was like perfect for SPA. Again, I already mentioned how I drafted this FCC versus the Reneg Veronica comp specifically, and her S3 damage with Brier Death Break, because Brier gets them around to half, and then this FCC actually kills the rest of their HP if they have like Reneg and Veronica, which is pretty funny. And Aureus to help take some of the damage off of the Reneg S3. This is one of the best imprints. Obviously, with the new change, you can lower the crit damage a little bit. But the nice part is that he can now bridge with any opener while it's still being an imprint. Because as long as you get them below half, he'll proc and then you can just wipe the team. And that's another benefit of the new, or I guess the DPS Brier, where you can, if the DPS Brier gets anyone below half, then the villager will proc, but the F Brier obviously can't do that, so. Okay, let's talk about the speed Teu. If you don't know why the speed Teu exists, it's because DN is one of the most popular bridges with Zio, and a lot of people pick the Veronica with like the 80% CR push EE, but the problem is it's only 80% CR push. Teu gets 100, which means if you're within 20% of the Veronica, he'll take the turn first. And you can S3 and then kill off the Veronica and then you can wipe their team. So that's the only reason why he's at this speed. But if you're Zio cleaving, you needed a fast Teu for that specific reason, because you'll always have DN most likely if she was open. So yeah. And I am looking at the wrong characters again. Where was I? Says was useful if I was playing Anti-cleave and I needed to extinct some units. So which is why, like around 240 speed, because it gets 30% CR and as much damage as possible. Wind Rider is really nice. If his S2 kills, he gets attack buff and procs Wind Rider, and his S3 does a fuck ton of damage. So, and I'm on Torrent because it's S2's AoE. Fire Politis. This is a nice pick versus Anti-cleave as a 4/5 if I have Acades. She's also good versus DN because she stops the DN push and she procs off of the DN S2. So even if DN cleanses a death break from Brier, the rest of their team will still have those debuffs, and then Politis can hit hard on the S2 and then S3 and then hopefully kill. And again, 240 speed because 30% CR push will mean she takes the next turn after. This BBK was nice if I needed units or if I needed DPS that had sustain or survivability. Sustain is not the right word, sorry. So, for example, examples of DPS that can survive would be Free Ren and BBK and Celine. Those are all examples of sustainable DPS because they have trouble dying while also dishing out tons of damage. So I guess in case if they had, I don't know, a bunch of DPS but not really much control, then BBK would be good, I guess. Let's see here. Okay, Prot Moon Bunny. This is another tech that I created where if they draft Renak Veronica, what this Prot set will do is if you have Free Ren early, the Renak actually can't kill off your Free Ren even if it's on Pursuit set. And the reason why is because of the barrier that Moon Bunny gives. It'll allow your Free Ren to tank the S3 splash, right? Like the raw S3 splash. And in the case that the Renak S2's the Free Ren, then your Free Ren will have skill effect nullifier, so then she'll be immune to the splash damage from the Renak S3. So this protects your Free Ren versus Renak Veronica specifically, if in case you're playing Brier, which is why I draft this a lot if they go that. So that is why she's on Prot set. I know this Prot set's pretty bad, but I mean, it gets the job done, which is the most important part. So, and she's on Warhorn just because it's Renak Veronica, so they're taking a fuck ton of turns anyways. So yeah, it'll proc eventually. So that's a nice little niche tech to help you deal with Renak. Look at this I picked. This wasn't out during the season, but yeah, Notice is very strong. Okay, this is my Prot Zio. I didn't really pick this often because picking slow Zio to me felt a little bit weird. I was still worried if I went like slow Zio into Briar, they would still Renak me, and then I have a useless Zio, so I don't really pick this too much, not gonna lie. Hecate. Hecate was really strong as a 3P, just because if they go, I think I mentioned this earlier already, if they go like Scales, Ross, or like Ruel, then Hecate on 3 already addresses both of those because of the immortality and revive that she has. Now with the EE, she gets the 50 CR off of the S3, so she gets to go into stealth earlier. During this season, I did have Proof on her because Proof lets you tank the Ross S3 in in case he went first. So pretty underrated unit, I can't lie. I think she's very, very strong for cleave just because of her passive. So Elena was a pretty niche pick. I think I only picked her if Mort was pre-banned and I needed an anti-counterattack unit. But this damage is pretty strong. With this artifact, you get 20 CR and you get 20 CR here. So 40% CR is a lot for Elena here. Nothing else I picked, I think. Oh, Cavill. Yeah, so he was really strong if only he had free run on 2 or free run early pick, right? Free run like 1 or 2. Otherwise, he was pretty unpickable. Just because this allows you to play a pretty strong second pick draft if you have like free run, Brier, and then Cavill on 4. Because there's not a lot of counters to that besides just straight out racing. They can't go anti-Cavill picks because those die to free run, right? So like the best answer would just be to like race, but it's already hard to race if you're playing slow on 1, 2, 3 and then you're trying to pivot to fast gameplay 4, 5. But yeah, if it didn't have free run, he was hard to pick. His damage is really good too though, so in the scenarios where you do have free run and they pick Cavill 4, like finding a force fence pretty easy on 5, right? You can pick like Straze, you can pick like Ludwig, or like SPA even, since SPA has AoE hits, so you're bound to crit one of them. Even with like scales, right? You can like soul burn scales and proc Cavill that way too if you have some crit rate on scales. So yeah, pretty flexible if you had free run, in my opinion. Very, very strong character too. I think Cavill, free run Tien, or like, and then maybe 10A and SPA were like the strongest followers for Brier Cleave, in my opinion. And besides that I think were the units I picked the most for this season. The rest are like pretty niche counter picks. I'm not going to go into them too much since the video would be way too long if I did. So yeah, if you're wondering about a certain character, a certain character's build, definitely leave a comment and I will comment why, or I'll respond with why they're built that way and like when I would pick them. So I think for now though, that's a pretty good spot to end off of. And we will try to end Legend again next season. But I know the next season Legend will be very, very hard since there's a lot of people that like this frame. For me, let me see the frame. Like, I'm not really too big of a fan of pink, so it kind of throws me off, this bottom one or this bottom section. Like the blue is nice, but yeah, I think the frame is like whatever to me. But I'll still try to end Legend just so we keep the streak going. But yeah, I think as for the progress of my account, it is getting close to, I think, what it could be. I think it's reaching the potential. I don't think my top speed can get any higher. I've been like 317 for like 4 or 5 seasons now. The only thing that's improving are like my mid speed gear and like my DPS gear, but even then that's like hitting a plateau. In case you guys are interested in my China score, I'm like around 2k, like pretty much exactly at 2k. If you don't know what that is, it's like a, what do you call it? You grab your Fripples file and you put in like this bot in Chinese, and then it outputs a score for your account based on all the gear you have. And then mine's around 2k, which is like probably average, a little bit slightly under average for legend, I would say. So yeah, the count's nothing crazy, but I'm working with what I got, and I will say it feels nice hitting the ranks you want to with your own account. But yeah, the game is in a pretty good spot too, so I'm enjoying playing still. I will see y'all in the next video. Thank you for watching.